Horse sleep habits. Are there any unusual patterns that should cause concern, like not laying down enough, sleep position? My pony lays on her back sometimes. I've never seen that before. Neither have I. Please send us a photo.
I've not seen that either.
It's very curious about that. And what can you do to help encourage better sleep habits?
Well, I'm going to go back to the lay on the back.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Foals will lay on their back. We call it dorsal recumbency when they have gastric ulcers. That's a very specific clinical sign and a very specific condition. But I've not seen or heard of an adult horse laying on their back. If that's normal for her horse, like the one we just talked about, fine. But if that's only something that happens when there's a problem.
So if it's happening here and there.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. Otherwise, back to normal horses' sleep habits. You've probably heard the whole thing about horses sleep standing up because they have a stay apparatus in their hind legs that let them doze while standing. And the key word there is doze. Horses can lightly sleep, sort of in a half alert, half asleep manner, but that's not how they get full sleep. And horses do have to get full sleep. Now, not as much as us. They only need like 3 to 4 hours of sleep a day and only 30 minutes of the REM, the rapid eye movement.
Wow.
And they can actually go a while. Like, you know, maybe you don't know, I know, if you lose sleep, in a day or two, as quickly as a day or two, you begin to feel the effects of it in your concentration, your focus. And
I feel it in one day.
Okay, right. Horses, it could take like 7, 10, 14 days before you start to see it. And what you'll see is when it's quiet and they're feeling comfortable and safe, they'll buckle their knee and collapse and maybe fall. And people go, oh, he's narcoleptic. That's probably not. It's probably sleep deprivation, and what you're seeing is a sleep attack.
A sleep attack?
A sleep attack. It's a kind of an aggressive word for when things are calm, they just are like, I'll just fall asleep. Sleep comes on them, and they can't help it.
And that's from like consistently having poor sleep habits,
yeah,
not
for
just
example,
like a one bad night.
Dr. Joe Bertone is who I consider the expert on horse sleep habits, and he shares a story of a 4-H horse pony that went to the county fairgrounds for their July, August county fair, and after a couple days began to have these sleep attacks. Well, they didn't know what was going on, so they called the vet. They're like, oh, something's terribly wrong. I mean, he's got some neurologic problem, right? And one of the questions he asked is, he asks a couple of questions. He asked, have you seen this horse roll lately? Or have you seen shavings on his back? So we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
Has anything changed in its social dynamics, like in the herd? And then how is the environment noise-wise? Are there any new disturbances? Well, it turns out this poor horse was getting work during the day and not having a normal routine. But like shown in the morning and shown in the afternoon and braiding and bathing and all that. And then at night, every night at 10 o'clock, they had fireworks. And then, at showgrounds, they'll leave the lights on in the barn all night long. He hadn't slept since he had been there. And it was just catching up with him. And they said when they got home, he slept for like 2 days straight, flat out, and then was his normal self again.
It's actually so funny they mentioned that. So for the showgrounds is like keeping the lights on all the time. I think people forget that. And one of our sponsor buyers, Deanna Searles, what she says, because when they go to Congress and they're there for like a month, so what she does is she'll get like a fly mask and she'll put it on her horses at night to kind of help block some of the light for them.
And maybe even like ear pom-poms or something.
Poor guy, the fireworks going off every day, working all day.
Yeah. And then people come in like at 3 and 4 a.m. to braid. So they may have just laid down to sleep, and then the lights are on again, and it's noisy. So shows are rough. What else? What other questions? Yes, sleep habits, unusual patterns.
How can you encourage better sleep habits?
How to encourage. So I wrote down what's required for a horse to sleep. Horses need to feel comfortable that they can lay down flat out and sleep, because they're susceptible then to a predator, and they cannot get up fast and take off. If they're sleeping standing up, just dozing and not really sleeping, deep sleep or REM, they can quickly go. But when they're laid flat out, they're pretty susceptible.
They're vulnerable, yeah.
Yeah, they're very vulnerable. So they require a guard horse. And mares are very good at this. So if you notice, this is your observation, in a herd, there'll be some laying down and some standing, right?
Yep.
Watching over them, and then they take turns. But you'll never see the entire herd laying flat out. because somebody has to be on guard for the predators.
They got to sign for times of who's on watch,
They have
who's
shifts.
sleeping.
They have
Yeah,
exactly. So that's one thing. You got to make sure, like, there's a story of a horse that was in a herd, and then he got purchased and he was the only horse in a place. Well, he's like, I'm not laying down. I'm the only one. Then they come, they're going to get me, right? So they got another horse, a mini, and it was fine.
So the mini was his guard horse, so
Mini
he could
was
take it
the
out.
guard horse, I know. So let's see what else. The environment we talked about. It has to be, not disruptive and usual and same. If it's disruptive, but the horse is used to it, then that's probably fine. The big one is, and this one is probably the one that gets missed the most. The horse has to be able to get down and get back up.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an older horse maybe, or a horse that's unsound, and that's why the question of, have you seen them roll lately, or have you seen shavings on their back? If they're not getting down and getting up, they can't sleep.
Yeah.
So
Well, because the older ones, they are maybe a little bit nervous if they do, they can't get back up, so they
as
just
quickly,
yeah.
or just they're so stiff that their hocks and stifles and fetlocks, they don't bend anymore. You've seen horses lay down; they don't look tremendously agile. So these older horses that might have fused hocks or something, they can't. They can't do it.
If you give them like a bigger stall, will that help them? Feel
That'll
a little
help.
bit?
More bedding. There's a
Okay.
research study that says thicker bedding, horses will sleep longer, so that's good. But also, this is a time to call your vet, because they could come out and diagnose an unsoundness maybe, and then prescribe something that will give them some relief, and talk to you about, let's develop a plan that will help your horse be more comfortable overall.
Well, that's awesome. These are
Yeah.
some great tips there, and some I might take just for my own personal use.